This is Rowena Dooley asking Soul Citizens to report for duty. Asking Soul Citizens to report for duty.
Hey, what's up? Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Soul Voices. I'm GriffinGamingRPG. Today is May the 11th, and we're back for another interesting and different week here at Soul Voices. I'm so happy that you guys are here. Really appreciate everybody who's already in the room and waiting. This is going to be an interesting Soul Voices. It's going to be a little bit different. For those of you who've never been here before, Soul Voices is our weekly show that we do. We're one-on-one conversations where you get to come in, share your thoughts with me from the various topics that I pick from Spectrum or Reddit, the gaming industry, or just something that's just off the top of my head in relation to Star Citizen. And so today is a very special day. We're doing something a little bit different. We've done this before in the past. But today is going to be a special fundraiser called the Rally for Buster, Star Citizen's Klingon Beacon. Those of you guys who know Buster the Destroyer, Buster has let us know that over the past few weeks at her job she had been working at, basically she had not been getting paid, and she had been kind of muscled through and pushed through it and continuing to go to work. But unfortunately, it's just over a month or around a month, and she still hasn't gotten paid. And so with her being someone who is a part of our community, a well-loved person in our community, it broke my heart. And I know how it is to be out there sometimes when you just don't have basic money to take care of basic things. And so we decided that we were going to do a fundraiser for her. There is no big target amount for this. It is just something, a gesture of love that we want to give as a community to her, to kind of make things a little bit easier for her. We're hoping that her job situation changes, that things get better. But in the meantime, there's some real life bills and real life situations that need to be taken care of. And so we want to be able to help Buster out. For those of you who've known her for a little while, she's been around for quite a while. In fact, Buster's been a good friend of ours, and she's been on our show several times. She's been on Yacht Club. She's been with Paul on Astropod. She's been on just about everybody's shows. Jesus, I can't even think of the name of the show that they used to be called Nightly. What was it called? What was the name of the show that they were on with Dargenator and them? Fortnightly. I can't think of what the name of it was now, but they used to have a show that ran all the time. And the other thing is that Buster's like one of our females who's been around for a long time. So many of the women who've been a part of the Star Citizen community have come and gone. Some of them have moved on because of life. Some have moved on because they're doing variety streaming, but Buster's really hung in there. And for those of you who went to CitizenCon last year, you may have remembered seeing her walk around as a hot dog, dressed up, having fun, with everybody stopping by, giving hugs. She's always just so energetic, always a great person to be on with us. And so hopefully this weekend we'll be able to make a little difference for her. Yeah, Zirin, it's Buster, to answer your question. And Tree, if you want to do that too, then feel free. I see you're in the chat as well. But it is Buster if you want to go on cam. And so part of today's thing is that we're going to be doing this fundraiser for her. We're still going to do some topics. We've got quite a few topics. In fact, we've got some really interesting topics that we're going to be doing this week. But I've also invited other content creators to come by and just say hi, just to be able to come in and, help encourage us as a community to support her. As you can see on the screen right now, there's a goal of $1,000. $1,000 isn't a lot these days because, those of you who know $1,000 can be gone in no time flat. But we've already got $70 in the pot. People have already started giving even before this show started. So there's a link that is going to pop up, which I've got to give you because Griff, I've got to give you the link for this, and I've got to put it in the link thingy so that the link thingy comes. I've done everything except for give you guys what you need to be able to participate in this great event. So let me put this in for you guys right now. There is the link. If you want to take a look at it, feel free to take a look at that page. I'm going to make sure it's in here so it cycles once we get the show started, so folks can come in and talk. But that's what we're going to be doing today, and we're going to be having our great conversation. So as always, love for you guys to be able to come in and chat with me. The topics that I'm picking are once again based around Star Citizen, and there's a lot going on right now, right? Update 3.23 dropped yesterday. Folks are very excited about this. Most of us have been in the EPTU for the last few weeks. We were already excited, but I'm sure you guys will have some great thoughts and things to talk about with that. So let's get that number moving. We're at 70. Let's see if we can get that number increased within the first. We're going to be on for 4 hours. 4 hours today. Okay, we're going from now till 6 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Central time, 4 p.m. Mountain time, 3 p.m. Pacific time. I'm not going to even try to do European time because my brain is fried. But we're going to see if we can move that needle. And within our first hour, we want to reach that 250 mark or more. It would be great if we could reach that. We're already $180 short. And I know you guys can help us reach that goal. And I know you guys can help us reach the goal of $1,000 today. So thoughts out to Buster. But glad you guys are here. Let's go ahead and get into what we're going to get into for this week. Okay. There's a QR code on the screen. You guys can go to that QR code. It'll take you to that link as well, but I'll make sure that the link does pop up from time to time in the chat if you'd like to be able to do it via your computer, your cell phone, or whatever you're using for your media. Okay, let's go ahead and hit this very, 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 very first topic. Let's see, it's 10 after. Okay, I'm going to watch my time because I've got to pace myself on this because it's a different kind of show. So, since the CitizenCon, 6 months later, can or will Cloud Imperium Games deliver? Now, you ask, Griff, why'd you decide to talk about 6 months? Because it's just been over 6 months. November, December, January, February, March, April, and we're just getting into May. So we've got 6 solid months behind us of development, 6 months of seeing CIG do their thing. And my question to you guys is, from what you saw in CitizenCon, and maybe the things you were inspired by in CitizenCon, the things you enjoyed watching at CitizenCon, there were a couple statements that CIG made. One of the statements that they said was Chris Roberts said, after making some of the presentations that came up, they said, we would like to get these things in your hands within the next year. So that's from October to October. If you want to go by your fiscal year, you could say till December, but I'm going to give them 12 months. I'm going to say 12 months. By the next CitizenCon, we want to be able to get these things into your hands, right? And then we get to the end of the year show. We're right around the end of the year in December, right before they wrap up. And Disco makes another statement, and he talks about the things that we want to get to you in your hands within the next 6 months. Now, mind you, these are the two people at CIG who have consistently reminded us, especially Disco, not to give out dates, not to give out timelines. They've stayed away from that for a while. You guys know Chris used to do it from time to time, being very excited and ambitious and whatever other words you want to call them. Some people might say foolish, but he would give out dates and they wouldn't make the dates and the community would get upset and he'd be upset and blah, 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 blah. And so they stopped giving out dates. But this last year, they, for the first time in a long time, not only gave out dates, but gave them out with some certainty and some surety. And I know there was a lot of cynicism in the community. A lot of people were like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll see it when we believe it. And I understand that because for years and years, delivery has not been the thing that's been at the top of CIG's list, right? But guess what? By the end of 2023, we had 322 ready to start playing it. We're testing it and everything, right? And here we are now going into 323. A little late, but we're going into it. And much of what we saw that was in the demonstrations at CitizenCon and that were part of Squadron 42 have been migrated over to the persistent universe. And so many of those things, they have actually delivered to us right now. Sure, some of them are still a little bumpy, but we've got them in our hands. So CaptainSeriousFun and I were having this conversation before, and one of the things that he pointed out is that we've never been in a period where we've had all hands on deck with the persistent universe. We've had it with Squadron 42, right? They were dividing folks up before. They said, we got to put some emphasis on Squadron 42. They did that for a couple years, 2 years, 2.5 years, whatever. Then once they said this thing is featuring content ready and complete, it's going to be polished. Now we're going to move those resources over to the persistent universe. And lo and behold, they've been delivering. So that's going to be my question to you guys. Do you think that CIG can or will deliver what they talked about at CitizenCon last year? Do you think that they'll be able to produce the things that we've been seeing on the ISCs? I know a lot of people were disappointed about the cargo refactor, right? The cargo and the hangars and all that stuff. It's not that it's not coming, right? They say this is going to be a part of the 323.x. They already told us today there's supposed to be a patch coming out. I think that was an announcement today that said there's going to be a 3.2.3.1 that they're trying to get out, right? So they're working this weekend. Invictus is coming up. A lot to do. A lot of stuff going on, right? So we're going to talk about Invictus a little bit later. But okay, let me start bringing some folks in here. And I'm going to bring in, I think, Zirin. Let me bring Zirin in first, and then I'll bring in Tree. Zirin, you there? Hello?
Oh,
there he is.
I hit the wrong button.
Okay.
How are you today?
Fine. Shenanigans, thank you so much for the resub. We appreciate that. Thank you. You're awesome. Guys, don't forget, check that link, check that QR code. This is all about helping out Buster. I know, trust me, we love the subs. And I'm sorry, Shenanigans, if you got here late, but we're doing a fundraiser for Buster the Destroyer. So we really want to ask that anything like subs and things like that. I mean, if you just want to give to us, that's fine. If you want to do both, that's fine. But we really want to put the emphasis on Buster today. So thank you for that, Shenanigans. I really do appreciate you for 3 months being around. Tk you. Appreciate that for subbing at least for 3 months. You might have been around longer. Okay, Zirin, what are your thoughts about the 6 months? Any thoughts?
Yeah, first of all, sorry about the echo in the background chat.
There's no echo. You're good.
But 6 months. I think we've seen a lot of this stuff come at least to a degree into the PU.
Okay.
Or it's very soon to be. At least I'm hoping. I vary between 3 states between CitizenCon and the beginning of a year. It's either worrisome, cautiously optimistic, and super excited.
Okay.
Right now I'm at cautiously optimistic, turning toward excited, on the gauge. So
okay. All right. So you think that you're cautiously excited, but you do think that they'll be able to achieve what they said they'll be able to do this year.
At least within reason. I don't think that whole Terada interview about static server meshing is going to make it into this year.
Okay.
We'll see.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, buddy. Appreciate you. All right. Let me bring in, we've got a guest, a special guest here, a good friend of ours, Tree0311. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Happy to have you come by.
I'm doing well. Do you care if camera's on or not?
It's on you. If you want to be on camera, I've got spots. If you want to hang out for a little bit, if you just want to come in and respond to the question, whichever one's good for you.
I've got like 45 minutes.
Okay, well, damn. Pop the video.
Video Ninja has a password.
Oh, Buster.
Lowercase or?
It should be uppercase with a first letter uppercase, I think. I think it's Buster.
Okay, I'll try it again.
Let's see if it works. If it doesn't work, then I'll have to do another one. That sucks. I thought I had
we're doing it for science.
Yeah, we'll see what happens, guys. We're going to see if we can get Tree in. There. Oh, there. Tree's coming. Tree is coming. Oh, there he is. Look at him, looking good. Let's get him in here as one of our guests here today.
Ooh.
Let's get him in there. Good. Woohoo!
So flattered.
Oh, there he is. Nice and easy. Easy peasy. All righty. Way to go. Thanks for coming, man.
Oh, thanks for having me. Sorry, I was just adjusting your audio.
No worries. No worries.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
I was happy to have you on.
Soul Citizen lurker for many years. It's one of the things between you and Paul. This is what I, you all are the people that I put on listen to when I'm, making dinner and doing household stuff with the kids screaming in the background.
That's nice. Thank you. We appreciate that. And by the way, you have a special reason why you're here, right? Because you're good friends with Buster.
Yeah, I met Buster for the first time at CitizenCon 2018, and then again this last time, and we've been on Captain's Table together, and lots of conversations for a long time. So yeah, love Buster. She's an amazing person, great person to have in the community. So when you popped out this message, I was like, oh yeah, gotta hop on and support Buster and send a few real life UEC her way and. Help keep her afloat through trying times, because we've all been there.
Yes, yes, we have. We appreciate you being here, buddy. We really do. By the way, guys, you guys have already moved the needle from $70 to $115. You guys are great. Thank you. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. You guys are doing great. So, Tree, give me your thoughts, because you were at CitCon, and we saw a lot. Yeah. We saw a lot, right? I mean, there was a lot. We saw. I don't have it up with me, but Nazareth and I, for the podcast, we did make a list of all the features and technology and content that they talked about at CitizenCon. Okay.
And so it's an interesting thing, because he said, at the beginning of the presentation, he said, we want to get almost everything you're going to see here out to you in the next year. That's the goal. And then at the end of the presentation, he said, we want to get everything out. And so there's where they put that dividing line, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Things like Maelstrom, more longer term plans, the Planetech V5, obviously you have to have reasonable expectations, but I think it's one of those things where for me, I want to see how well CIG does in terms of, for the longest time, if they got half of what they were trying to get in for a patch, that was good for them. And they've been moving that needle up, over the past couple of years, and you get more and more of what they're targeting is getting into this, getting to the patch. And here we are with 3.2.3, and the cargo and freight elevator stuff slipped. It's still going to be in this patch cycle, but it slipped a little bit. But they've been continuing to add stuff to this patch cycle from that list from CitizenCon as the patch cycle has gone on. I can't be more hyped. Like, the fact that it's like when they initially announced the patch, and with that SCL back in February, right? That big one. I mean, that was a big patch already, and they've continued to add to it. And they pushed the cargo and freight elevator stuff back probably. It'll probably end up being a month, give or take.
Yeah.
But that's fine. And this is the biggest and most impactful patch. I mean, 3.18 was a big deal, but it was a big deal in that it was more from a tech standpoint.
Yeah.
And getting that framework in with PES. But in terms of quality of life and really making Star Citizen more that next gen experience, because we've been playing with all these legacy pieces of technology and features for so long, and a lot of workarounds in order to get things done. And boy, it would be nice if we had this. And here we are with 3.2.3 going live, and it's got some kinks, but it has so much in terms of this is what the experience is that they're targeting. What we've been talking about on the Pathfinders podcast is getting Star Citizen to feature and quality and gameplay parity with Squadron 42.
Right.
And this is a big step towards that. Like, so much of this stuff is the things that we saw and have been hearing about from Squadron's development. And we're getting a really good look at what that experience is going to be like. Obviously not nearly as polished just yet, but they're working their way towards it. But in terms of how you interact with everything, I'm super hyped for it. My experience with 3.2.3 has gotten night and day better since they first went to Wave 1. The patches have gotten better. The performance has gotten better, both server side and client side. The Vulkan implementation with DLSS. I've always had pretty decent frames because I have a pretty powerful machine. But man, the smoothness, like we've gotten so used to hiccups that you're a little bit of chop,
right?
And I don't have any of that anymore.
Okay,
it's very consistently smooth with the DLSS and Vulkan running, and they haven't even optimized that. Like,
yeah, true. That's so very true.
I'm super stoked, and like you mentioned that 6 months, I feel like if I was going to give CIG a grade on that 6 month target thing, the that sort of, this is what we're aiming for. I feel like we're probably at like a solid B plus A minus in terms of what they've been able to accomplish, and at the level of performance, in terms of like Star Citizen's normal level of jank for a patch. At least for me, it's for a .0 release, it's been really good for me, and I know that slides around a lot from person to person, but I don't know about you, but it's been really great. And if a .0 patch is this good, the .1s are and hot fixes after that, by the time you get to the end of the patch cycle, we're 3.2.3 is just going to be just a major night and day change. It's a lot to be really. It's Thanksgiving for Star Citizen in spring.
Fair enough. All right, let's bring in a couple other folks. We got some folks here waiting to come in and give us their thoughts on what they think this answer to this question may be. Give us their thoughts. Let's bring in Kai Zin. Kai is here. Kai, you there?
What up, brother?
Good to see you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How you doing today?
Okay.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Star Citizen will achieve 100% of their goals of implementing things to sell us this year.
Okay.
As far as the rest of it, I mean, at best, half. But let me.
Now, when you say half, are you saying half of what we saw at CitizenCon will probably make it in this year?
Yes, at best.
Okay, we're at the halfway point now.
Correct. And you
don't think there's anything else for the next 6 months? There's not going to be anything else you're saying.
No. I'm saying if you look at the stuff that was shown off at CitCon, I mean, if you actually go through the details and say, okay, this is I think we're at like 12%. Like we're by the time we get to, and look, here's the deal. People need to understand that this is the reality of it. If you want a small mind giving you a small game, then you can go to your standard Microsoft EA bullshit where they NBA 2K, NBA 2K2, NBA 2K3, and it's like hashed out, regurgitated, same old bullshit with like a slightly different skin and a tweet of like 4% of the stats. If you want the same old, that's what you get. If you want a visionary to give you something that's amazing, that's going to break the freaking world. I said freaking. I caught myself just for you, Griffin, because you're a man of God. If you want somebody that's going to break the freaking world, you have to deal with Elon time. Elon has never made a deadline in his entire life. Everything is complete fail on timelines. Just Chris Roberts has never made a timeline in his entire life. But that's the thing. These are the guys that turn the impossible. Everyone says it cannot be done, right, into the slightly late. Okay. That's what these guys do. Okay. So like when you got a PT Barnum that's selling you this incredible dream or whatever, and I watch a sitcom knowing I'm like, this is some bullshit. Any kind of schedule, this is some bullshit. But it's the only place you're going to get that done. It's the only place, like, you're going to get something super, super amazing that no one else can give it to you, and it's going to be 5 years late. That's Chris Roberts. Okay. If you don't accept that, if you don't understand that, you're setting yourself up to get super hyped, you drink the Kool-Aid, and then you get super pissed later and you blame him. And it's like, why are you blaming the man? The man has never been on time, but he delivers cool shit eventually. Okay. I paid my money. I'm on my ride. I'm looking for cool shit that's going to be several years late, but it's going to be cool shit. So I'm okay with that ride.
All right. Fair enough. All right, brother. Thank you, bro. All right. Take care. All right, let's bring in Togi. Sir Togi's here. Togi, what's up?
What up?
Hey, how are you? Togi's always got the what up thing. That's why I have to laugh tree when he comes in. So give us your thoughts.
That really dates us, doesn't it?
I know.
All right. So first of all, a little correction on Kai there. All right. Like people are tracking the features that are in.
Okay.
All right. And we are above 50% on features already.
Okay.
All right. By sheer
I'm
number.
with you. I got a checklist too. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Now that being said, there's still some stuff that is going to be a much bigger initiative.
Okay.
All right. And at fear of sounding like, the little kid sitting on the porch waiting for his dad to take him fishing, like he's going to make it this time. It's my birthday. He's going to be here. I'm thinking that, we're going to be sitting on the porch for some of that stuff at the end of the year still.
Okay. Let me ask a question.
That's good context.
Yeah, let me ask Tree and you both guys a question. Do you think that in some ways the Star Citizen community is suffering from PTSD?
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've been burned so much, and to your point, the hype has been so much that to a certain degree that even if this is a big if, guys, so bear with me. If things are pointing in the direction that things will speed up, do you think that still gives why there's still reluctance, why people may feel like, yeah, I want to believe it, but the history of 10 years or 11 years is not, you know what I mean? It ain't making me feel any better. You tell me, let's pick a random number. Let's say that 70% of the people that were working on Squadron are now working on the persistent universe. Let's say literally that many people have shifted over, right? We're 1,200, 1,300 employees. Let's say you got 800 of them now working on the persistent universe. I'm not saying that means that things are going to get faster. I'm just saying, but there is a dedicated move, just like there was for Squadron. They said we're going to move all these people over to Squadron to get it out. And now they're saying we're going to flip that script. Do you think that maybe that's still, even with all that information, people are still reserved because of what's happened in the past? Possibly.
Yeah, people want to be shown the results now of that, and that's the hard thing is because we didn't get to see the results of that move over to Squadron, and so we're like, all right, we're in Mississippi, the Show Me State, Mississippi or Missouri?
Missouri.
Which one is it? Missouri. My bad. Apologies.
I think the question isn't whether or not like we do have PTSD; it's just whether or not we're wrong to have it.
No, I don't think we're wrong. I don't think we're wrong. I think it's justifiable. I think that
you have to.
Good.
You have to adjust your expectations. It's not a you said it here and you forget it. You have to constantly move them around based off how things are going. And that's the thing is you talked about moving all those people over and then moving them back. Well, those people are getting moved back to then implement features that they've already built.
Right.
They're not starting fresh.
Right.
They're implementing features that they've been working on for the last 3 years. And so expecting those features to take years to implement is not an accurate expectation because they've already developed it. They're just making it work in a multiplayer environment. And so, yeah, it's going to, that is some work, but, they've been doing the development for years. They're not starting at square one with all this UI stuff. It's a port from the engine, the engine that's single player to the same engine that's multiplayer.
Yeah.
But the only thing I would push back on that is that a lot of the stuff that we're seeing, even like the UI and master modes, is still pretty half-baked for being, quote unquote feature complete.
Yeah, feature complete for Squadron's needs, and that's the thing is there's a lot more that we need from those features in the PU than you need in the Squadron sense. But it's the technical implementation of it that's a big portion of that dev time. It's why they've had to be working on those things for several years, is because getting it to work in a technical way and then building on top of that. But you made a really good point, Togi, in that the long-term things, I think that's why, and I said that at the beginning, is CR said one thing at the beginning of the show, and then just like everybody else, he got hyped at the by the end, and then he said another thing. He said all these things, and I think that first statement is really what we probably should be using to manage our expectations, because those long-term things that you talked about, Togi, like Maelstrom is a long-term thing. Yeah, Planetech V5 is a long-term thing. There are multiple things that he showed off that are long-term ventures. A lot of them are more short-term things, and that they've built this for Squadron. They need to add a bit more to it and implement to the PU, but much more short-term goals, which is why he said most, versus all initially. But they're talking in the monthly reports about the temp solution for armor until Maelstrom comes in order for it to make work better with resource management and such. And so, that's a big ticket feature. That's a big physics endeavor. I said endeavor. We're going to give John Kroon also, but that's one of those things. Like, if we're going to give them a grade, you need to be able to look at these different things on that list that you're talking about, Togi, and be like, yeah, this is what they're talking about in terms of long-term things. When he said most, he wasn't talking about Maelstrom or I'm trying to think what else would be a long, but that's the one that always sticks out in my head, because there's a lot of work that they have to do with Maelstrom in order to get that to work with all the ships and all the environments. The resource management, we're just getting the basic portion of it for ships. It's going to be every location, every point of interest will run off of resource management. So that's a long-term endeavor, but we're going to get that initial implementation for ships. And so it's, that's where how I manage my expectations in terms of looking at that, because it's not each one of those things on that list doesn't carry the same amount of dev weight, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very varied list of endeavors just to make sure that we really give him that aneurysm.
Yeah. Oh, we're working our way from an ulcer to an aneurysm.
I know, at this point, yeah. All right, Togi, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, good.
Togi's
point,
always
man.
good,
Good
thoughtful.
point.
Yep. Let's bring in Pops in Space. Pops in Space is next, and we're going to move on to our next subject after this. Hey, Pops.
Hey. Happy Saturday.
Yeah, same to you.
Yeah. It really depends on your how in depth you want to say delivered. And this is my point being, okay, the star mat has changed. So they have given us, it's not complete. Let's see what else. I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head as far as it. So it looks to me, it's the point in which you say we've gotten star map, the new star map.
We got distribution center, star map. I mean, and weapon refactoring. There's a lot of things, right? That we know that
there's a lot of things that we have, but they're not all the way completed. If you want to say, well, I want them all complete, then you could kind of have a little negative taste in your mouth about it.
So let me ask you a question. Then, Pops. Does this kind of fall into the category of with Pyro, right? Remember, Chris Roberts said we're going to have Pyro by the end of the year, right? And technically, we did have Pyro at the end of the year, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. We did. We played it. Not only did we play it at CitizenCon, but they released it to the community, right? And they got a chance to play it. So do you think that when it comes to these features, that will be kind of like that same type of thing, that they're just not completely in, but maybe it's an EPTU or a tech preview channel, but it's out there? Is that what you think it might be?
It's kind of like that. They let us lick the top of the ice cream cone, kind of a thing, and then they snatched it away from us. So it just really depends on how you personally feel about it.
Okay.
To me, another thing that could be is just like we're supposed to. They promised us all these ships, and I'm going to point out one, the Polaris. Okay.
What do you mean they promised? What do you mean they promised us?
They said that they were going to give us these ships by the end of the year.
The list, that
right?
that video with all the ships on the gold background.
Yeah. Okay, you said the promise. That's all. When you say promise, it just messes with my head a little bit. But I'll take it. Go ahead.
Okay. And now they said we're supposed to get that. Now, to me, it would be they could give it to us, put us in our hands. But they have also said in the past that there will be gameplay coming with these capital ships. That's more. It's just as important to me to have my Polaris, But if I don't have gameplay for it, then it's a big disappointment. I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to fly around the space station. I'm going to, man, what are they, size 10 torps on there?
Yeah.
I am not restocking, 12 size 10 torpedoes because I probably don't have the money for. So I need the gameplay to go with it. What I'm saying.
Yeah.
So 50 cent one and 50 cent without the other. You could really.
Well, let me give you this though. How about this? Right. We know the Polaris is going to show up in Fleet Week as a part of the escort fleet. So at least we know that they're giving us our first preview of with that ship. Exterior, mind you, but it's giving us an inclination that they're moving forward with the ship, right? So again, we're just at the 6-month mark. We're at the halfway point. Does that mean with compiled resources and energy, they could still deliver that ship by the end of the year? I think it's possible. I personally think it's possible.
I think they're targeting it for 4.0. Yeah, that's when resource management comes in.
Yep,
it's the first capital ship. It's the first ship and big ship, capital ship that is built from day one of its development with resource management in mind. Yeah, and that's when they say gameplay. Oh, Buster's in chat.
Yeah, yeah. She's here.
Hey, Buster, good to see you. But that's when they've really talked about why they've been holding back on the development of capital ships. They're talking about the multi-crew gameplay,
right?
Which is really more than anything the resource management,
right?
And so obviously, it'll come in with resource management. It's going to be probably, the 890 will be bigger, but in terms of multi-crew and resource management in terms of a combat environment, it's the first big ship that's really going to have that really be impactful. I'm hoping that since it's most likely targeting 4.0 with resource management and the release of Pyro, that they're going to give us Pyro. They'll probably give us something to shoot.
Yeah.
Okay.
With
so
those,
I'm going to ask you
if you can afford the torps.
Yeah.
We might have to do in-game fundraising for the torpedoes too.
How soon? I know you probably won't be able to answer it, but how soon do the both of y'all feel we'll get to 4?
Oh, that's end of the year for me.
End of the year?
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, end of the year.
I think end of summer. I think it's going to be.
August. This summer?
August, September. Yeah, because they're targeting. They said in December they're targeting summer, which I think they probably wanted earlier summer, and I don't think they're going to make early summer. I think it's going to, because if we're releasing 323 right now at the beginning of May. I think a 4 months to then get 4.0 out. I think 4.0 is not going to have as much of what we've got in 323 in terms of all the quality of life stuff. I think it's going to be a shorter list because it's going to have a whole nother system, and server meshing. It's going to take longer to QA the things in it than normal. But in terms of like the feature content, but we have to remember that like Pyro, they're really not working that much on Pyro anymore because they've been building it for years. The reason we got Pyro in the state it was in at CitizenCon and after that is because a server can't hold all of Pyro, one server. They had to cut it in half.
Yep.
And so until they can split it up.
So let me answer the question too, because I'm going to go a little different than Tree, because we had this conversation.
Single torps in your area and look at me.
Some of us were talking about whether 4.0 would come out before CitizenCon, and I've talked about both angles. I'm starting to lean more toward it being the announcement for CitizenCon, along with the announcement of the 1.0 tree for the final release, because for several reasons: business, marketing, hype, everything else. I look at 4.0 as being more of a technological leap more than it is, to Tree's point, than a feature leap. There's this, when you go to 4.0, that means there's some significant changes in development and what they're doing. So I don't know what that's all going to entail, but to me, if it comes out earlier, I've kind of felt it would be a 3.23.x, and then they'll kind of go into 4.0. But I can see, to Tree's point, that they could put it out earlier. I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but I think at the latest, it would be somewhat of a hype announcement if they decided to say 4.0, and this is what 4.0 is, and we're launching it. But again, when you have a technological leap like that, there's a lot of impact that could come from it. And if you know, I don't know whether or not CIG is going to take that risk. Maybe it is better to put it out earlier and get through the humps of 4.0 before CitizenCon. So we'll have to see, Pops.
Okay.
The telling thing is going to see what this next round of server meshing tests looks like.
Exactly.
Yeah,
because they'll do server meshing tests on a 3.2.3 build.
Yeah.
Because this last one was on a 3.2.2 build.
Mm-hmm. With Pops?
With Togi, I am going to be sitting on my porch looking down the street for my daddy's car and hope we get it.
All right. Thank you, Pops.
Right.
Let me ask you a quick
question. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, Tree, let me ask you a quick question before we move on to the next one. Do we, the backers, also have impact on delaying the process? And the reason why I'm asking this is because I know CIG allows a certain amount of time to get feedback from us. But do you think that sometimes we may have some impact in it? In other words, I'm going to go over to master modes right now, right? I'm going to talk about master modes. They've been tweaking it, right? They've been doing some really good stuff. And ever since it came out, they were like, we want to hear from you. We want your opinion. Give us your feedback. And it was amazing to see how many people were railing against it. But at the same time, CIG saying, okay, we're putting this out here. You got tell us what, what needs to be done. And I think Yogi put out a list last week where someone went off on them, and Yogi put down a great list of all the items that he'd seen that he thought were legitimate points of concern and question into master modes, right? So I think that they are listening. I think they're taking these things into consideration. They're not ramming it down our throats, but there is a point where the developer has to define what they want the game to be, right? In their best interest. Because if the game fails, all of us going to go play something else. You know what I mean? It's on them to make the game work well, So do you think that our impact is there? Do you think it's negligible when we're asking to have so much stuff done?
I think for big gameplay, like Master Modes is the best example for sure. I think that one is one of the things that we have the most impact on. I think if you're looking at it from a holistic standpoint, though, because if you remember, like with 3.18, 3.19, and then what's that big old document they put out afterwards, rehashing everything?
The letter from the chairman?
No, after 3.18.19, oh gosh, and you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm brain farting, but they put out that big old document where they really talked about how we want to, going forward, we want to preserve the live experience. The postmortem. Thank you,
postmortem. Yeah, there you go.
And I think that's one of the biggest things that really impacts CIG right now, is because in previous years they just be like, we just need to get the patch out because we need the data, we need the information. And now with how many more people we have in the community playing the game and playing it as a game versus an alpha, they really can't afford to do what they used to do. They have to preserve that live experience. They have to have good retention, both in terms of preserving CIG fiscally, but also to make sure that they're getting good data. Because if people aren't playing, they're not going to get the good data on the features and the feedback that they want. So I think it is a very difficult balancing act, because you do have things like master modes where they do want player input and they need more player input in order to get what they're going for, but they have an idea of what they want. Whereas other things are, use the map as an example. We can ask for little things for them to add to it, but this is the map that we're getting. These are the things that they built. They're not going to make drastic changes to the map based off of our feedback. They'll continue to polish it and improve it and add the more features and like we don't have all the locations for the mini maps and such, but I don't see the map or even the looting UI having changes like master modes or a big point of not as much contention as master modes, but like the FPS changes. There's been a lot of FPS changes, and they've been taking our feedback and such, but they have like you said, they do have this is what we want the game to play like, this is what we want the game to feel like. And everyone has to remember the audience that they're targeting isn't necessarily the audience that they have right now. People have to remember that the community that CIG and caters to right now and that plays the game right now is not the overall market audience, and so they do have to make the game approachable,
appealing.
and
It's got to be appealing to your audience.
Yeah, it has to have more mass appeal, and so we're like the sim argument. People are like, oh, you're removing the sim. And it's like, well, certain things are less hardcore sim, but they are adding so many other things that they have to simulate because they want that experience, and they want it, certain things to be, you don't have to do this,
right?
But you have the option to do it if you want to do it yourself, like master mode or resource management. If you don't want to do the repairs and customizations, if you're not the guy who goes out and works on your car and does the maintenance or tweaks it to get performance and everything, you don't have to do that. You can just stop at the station and the station will do it. And you just pay UEC for it.
There you go.
But they want to have that as an option, and that's a lot of sim. And so people have to realize that they are trying to add as many things to this to make it marketable to as many people.
Yeah.
But that does mean curtailing in some areas.
Absolutely. Okay, gang, you guys are doing a great job. We are at $170. We are just $80 short of our first 1 hour target. We want to get to that $250 in the first hour, gang. So please, please, please give consideration. We want to do this great support for Buster the Destroyer. Today is our rally for Buster, our Star Citizen Klingon beacon. Okay, the Klingon beacon. You guys got to help out the Klingon. We got to wish her kaplach, success. My Klingon is horrible, Tree. But we want to do that for her this weekend, and you guys can help. Listen, I know y'all got the money. Y'all buying F7s, okay? That bike was only $25, okay? So I know you got an extra $5 in your pocket. You guys help us support Buster this weekend, okay? Let's jump into our next topic here, Tree. And this is going to be update 3.23. Let's quick look at the trailer, and I'm going to ask you guys to come in and give us your thoughts to me and Tree. So if some of you guys are already testing out or playing 3.23, testing 3.23, whatever. So come in, give us your thoughts about it. Let's take a look at the trailer though. Okay, that's where we are. What do you guys think about 323? You can even talk about the trailer if you like the trailer. But some of you didn't get a chance to go into the EPTU and try it out. Some of you stayed away from the EPTU because you said, hey, I just rather wait till they get all the kinks knocked out of it. But many of you, in fact, I know a lot of people were over in our Discord channel in Soul Citizens last night, and they were trying to log in for quite a while. Some of them got thrown into queues. But later in the evening, a lot of folks got in, and I know I was in for about an hour and a half late last night. I had a good time, didn't run into too many problems, just little problems logging in at the beginning, couldn't get into my landing zone. But once I did a verify, maybe, I don't know if that's the fix or not, but I did a verify, and then after that, I got in with no problem, was able to transfer over my characters with no problem. Tree, did you get a chance to get in at all at 323 yet? Have you monkeyed around with it since it's gone live?
Not since live. I came off a 24-hour shift this morning. But I was watching other people play last night, and the Xylo was really good about responding to everybody because they did put in the queue in order to allow the back-end services to scale up without anything collapsing, which is it's definitely something that they're going to have to continue to work on because they were trying to prevent a 318 collapse.
Yeah.
And the fact that they still have struggled with, I mean, every game has launch day issues, and this is for CIG with this huge patch. This is essentially a launch day.
Yeah.
And so you can't again have like crazy lofty expectations about getting in on launch day, without any queues or issues. But they do need to make sure that their back end services are going to scale, because everything is so dependent on all those different microservices in the back end. And if it doesn't scale well, they're going to have issues, every time they drop a patch, every time they have an event. So it's a difficult line to walk. But,
it is.
My experience this last week on the last of the 3.2.3 EPTU patches was really good.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, everybody's been having a really, predominantly a really good experience. There's a lot of people that are getting into it and they're like, oh, I didn't even realize this was in the patch. Oh man, this is in the patch. I hadn't even seen this. And so there's just so much to cover. I like the thumbnail image for the video. It's very Star Wars. I think they did a really good job with that image.
Yeah, they did.
It checks a lot of boxes for us.
It does. All right, let me bring in Kai Zin because he's here. And someone just gave us a donation. I'm not sure who it was because I couldn't see it on the screen when it popped up. But thank you for the monetary donation. Please don't forget to use the link that pops up. I'm going to put that link back in for you guys. You could use the QR code on the screen. Once again, we're doing this as a fundraiser for our good friend Buster. There's the link right there. I just dropped it in for you again. And Kai Zin is back. Kai, you there?
Yes, as a space Mexican, let me help you out and just say it's pronounced Kapla.
Kapla. Okay.
There you go. The video was hype. It was fire. It was amazing. Star Citizen does the absolute best trailers and stuff. It was fantastic. It was perfect. It was missing Ewoks, which made me a little sad. They had the speeder bikes. They were on Endor clearly. Whatever. Okay, it was fantastic right up until right there. That's where they screwed up.
I thought about the same thing. Yeah, they took the alpha away.
Now, stop it. Stop it. The problem with Star Citizen marketing, other than the fact that it's way too good, is Star Citizen marketing, excuse me for saying this, Griff, but I just got to break it down. I got to keep it 100. Ready? Star Citizen marketing is the boob job of video games. It looks amazing. You can't wait to get your hands on it. You're super hyped. Unfortunately, Star Citizen gameplay is the boob job of video games. It's janky. It don't feel quite right. With technology, they'll get there in another decade, and it'll be super amazing when they do. But for now, I'm playing BattleTech and having fun. I love you, brother. I'm out.
All right, Kai. Thanks, buddy. All right. I actually, the thing that got me was not the playable now is, and we've had this in our group, talked about this several times, is the issue that CIG has been making smaller and smaller in their print alpha. And this time I didn't even see it at all. And I'm going to wait for it to come back around again, but I don't think it's there. And we've questioned whether or not it should be a playable alpha. It used to be playable now, alpha 3 point whatever. And I've had concerns about, I know people have always said, well, the trailers look so great and people think they can come in, but I've always felt, and I know people think I'm making an excuse, but as long as they say alpha, I have to give them the waiver. When they don't say it, and we know how gamers are, gamers don't read. They just see the visuals and it looks great. Or if I watched Tree playing it last night for 4 hours and he had no bugs and it ran well for him, and then I come in and play it and I can't, get out of my hangar because there's a piece of metal sticking through it or something, or the hangar doors don't open. You know what I'm saying? It's a weird place. You see, there's no alpha there now. Yeah, no alpha.
Yeah, it was only at that last screen just before it switched back. Yep.
Yeah.
It's a difficult line to walk because, like, especially with the latest letter from the chairman, they've mentioned it multiple times where, release in 1.0 is where the game is meant to be really
commercially
marketable towards
viable.
a wider market in terms of polish and performance, and a dramatic reduction in jank compared to years prior. And it's hard because they have to market the game in order to continue to sell it, in order to continue to develop it. But that marketing, I agree with a lot of people in that it doesn't always really honestly communicate what the experience is like. But at the same time, if they do that, they shoot themselves in the foot. But at the same time, like everybody, I feel like the vast majority of gamers will watch somebody play a game and watch somebody play it or live review it and such before they buy a game. If you watch a trailer and you buy a game simply based off the trailer at this point, when we have Twitch and YouTube and all that, like, where have you been?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Let's bring in Pops in Space. Don't forget, guys, you can click on the link that's there in the chat. You guys can come in and give us your thoughts. We really want to know what you guys think about 3.23. And because it's such a big patch, I'm going to ask that you guys just tell us one or two things that you enjoy or you didn't expect. Like Tree said, there's some people there's some things they didn't even know was in the patch. So bring those into us. We want to hear from you. Pops, you there?
Yes,
I got to go, Griff.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
No. I know you said you got to go.
You guys have
Thank you so much for coming, man. Appreciate you as always. Okay, thanks for being here. We'll have to have you back.
Thanks for having me. Y'all have a good weekend. Cheers, Buster. We love you guys.
All right, bro. Thanks a lot. All right, that's Tree. Thank you, buddy. Pops, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, sir. What you got?
I'm gonna say it does say alpha.
Mm-hmm. It does?
Yep, it does.
Where?
Okay, it is.
Is it right before the ending?
No, it's actually in the middle.
I'm watching it. I'm watching it.
Okay, I think it's just before. What's the bird's name?
Maroc.
Right. I think it's just before that.
Oh, at the very end, right before.
Right underneath the bottom, it says Alpha 3.2. It is really quick. I think it's there for like,
okay.
A small second or so.
Okay.
I think what is it? They say beckoning is a new thing now. That terminology they're using for this patch.
Adventure beckons, yeah, something like that. Hang on, it's coming up now, gang. It's coming up. Intense close quarter. I gotta wait till all the words pop up on the screen. Pop says it's here, and I just missed it. Maybe I was just so caught up in the visuals, Pops.
Me too.
Maybe I was just so caught up in the visuals that it was there. Which means also though that it's they're still getting away with doing that because this is the third time I watched this video and I don't remember seeing it. So I'm watching okay, boom, 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 boom. Okay, there's the words. Adventure beckons. Oh yeah, okay. That was so quick.
You seen it?
That was so quick. That was so quick. Oh my god. Okay, all right. Yeah, they get their little waiver in there, but it should be at this screen here at the very end to me. But that's okay. I'll live with it. I'll live with it. Okay. Anyway,
the only thing I want to really say, I think the trailer is great. The one thing I really want to appreciate from is that they are highlighting more and more with the ladies.
Mm-hmm.
They did the one remember the one with the double guns?
Yes.
When the lady put out the double guns.
Yes.
They had one with Molly.
Yeah.
That I remember in this one. So I'm happy to see them.
Do you think? But let me ask you a question. Do you think that will draw in more female players?
Oh, I think the character creator will, because I've said this before about, we have to, I've said this before, maybe it was misunderstood. We have to look at them. And I know ladies take a lot of pride in how they look. It makes them feel great. I met a couple of older women when I was 20s. I'm in trouble now. I'm in trouble. But, and I asked them the question, why do y'all dress up to work? When I worked at Blue Cross, and they would dress up like they were going to church, and they said because it makes us feel good. So when they feel good about how they look, that kind of draws a them in and say, man, I can make my character look really nice. I could spin this. And do
so you said you don't think guys care what they look like, is what you're saying, huh?
Not as much. I'm gonna say not as much. You know, some of us do.
I don't
but
know,
I'm
Pops.
gonna say
There's a lot of
some do.
guys that spend time. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are some guys who just take that default character and go play the game. But there are guys that, and don't get me wrong, I agree with you 100%. I think people do want to be able to feel like they can make a character that represents them, right? Whether it's their fantasy character or their real self. People do enjoy doing it. Some people spend a lot of time in the character creation. In fact, there's a website we know that's already been created by the community where people are putting up their characters. So you're right. People are willing to put the time in. I'm just curious as to whether or not we will see more women. Now, when I look at the live streams, I'm seeing the live streams. There are more women who are playing the game. You know, so I think this might be something that might make more of them decide to say, "Hey, this is pretty cool. I got a lot of control over what I can look like in the game." But I think there are guys who feel the same way too. You know.
Yeah.
I don't want to give all the beauty to the ladies. That's all. I think the guys like how they look. You know, they want their beards. You know.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna make
one lady, and she was so tickled. Maiden Ariana, when they highlighted her coming through there, and that I think that made her feel great. It tickled Buster to all get out, and I think it's a matter of pride, and it's good to see because you know the old days, and you told us about the old days when I think you said that they only had the male characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So when that happens, they feel slighted. They just like, oh my God, they don't care. They, you know, so.
Well, let me tell you what the real reason is, Pops. I want women in the game because I'm tired of looking at all you dudes. I'm not trying to live in no universe with all dudes, if you know what I mean. So anyway, let me get going, Pops. Thanks.
All right.
All right. Let me bring in Togi next. Except for Togi. I don't mind living in a verse with Togi. What's up, buddy? Uh-oh, did he go? There he is. Okay.
So I'll tell you what my favorite thing about 323 is.
Okie doke.
And that's what I was super disappointed when they got rid of hangers. I was pretty much ready to write off 323.0 as just meh. And honestly, this is the most fun I've had in Star Citizen in years.
Oh, okay.
It's nothing that's on the patch notes. Right? It's that the game just genuinely feels better.
That's a good point.
The AI is working better. You know, just it's that level of polish. It's less janky. I'm fighting the game less to let me play.
Right. That's a good point.
And to me, that makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. To your point, I think, you know, one of the things that they said in the patch notes when they first put out the patch notes for EPTU was that they were trying to focus on performance and stability. And we really haven't heard them say that a lot. A lot of times it's about the mechanics and the features and blah, 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 blah. But to actually feel, and especially people who I've talked to who have medium-sized rigs, who said that the game actually, they can, in their words, I can play it now. That's kind of how they put it, you know. That these rigs that they've been kind of pushing through, or maybe they didn't want to spend the money or don't have the money to upgrade to a higher end rig, but now they're having fun in the game, and like you said, they don't feel like they're fighting their machine, you know, to play the game.
I'm not even necessarily talking about just that. I mean, it's also the server performance has been better for me. You know what's happening, the problems that you have at low tick rate. Just you know, you still have them. But it seems like you get better performance at X tick rate now than you used to.
Good point.
And that's huge to me. And that's if anything has given me hope for the future, it's that.
It's been a long time coming. All right, Togi. Thank you, brother. Alrighty. Let's bring in Fist to Face. You there?
Hey. So for my take on 3.23, my first one, I know you said one. If I'm gonna do two, but I'm gonna do one real quick. My first one with visuals, right? Visual is beautiful, it's stunning. The second one is gonna probably be an unpopular one for a lot of people, is the wipe. And the reason why I say the wipe is because yesterday when me and Pops went in, I felt for the first time in the game in a long time consequences. Because when I was going into the hangar, right, I had the C1 and they put me in a small little hangar, and I'm like, man, I'm down to 25K. in pocket money.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking, man, everything matters at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, Pops, what can we do? I can't go out to a bunker
Mm-hmm.
because if I get shot and get down like you guys were getting down, right? And luckily we were on a different server though,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that some could have happened, you know, maybe
Right.
rescue beacon, but I could have lost my stuff. And now I'm down to 0
Right.
or whatever.
Right.
I'm hurting. So it made me, and I'm saying it in a good way, that it made me feel the consequences of the game.
Yeah. There to
You know what I'm
to
saying?
your point, there are adjustments that people have not talked about. Some people know, some people don't. One of them is definitely, like you said, the fact that, you know, if you get down, that's going to cost you $15,000 to get somebody to come get you if you decide to drop a beacon, right? But there's also adjustments to inventory. There are time adjustments to quantum jumping, components. There's a lot of things in here now that are starting to move us closer to the vision of what Chris Roberts has wanted. Everything else before was placeholder. It was there to test things out for concept.
Right.
But now we're starting to move toward the game. I think Togi's point starts to feel the way the game we've been talking about for so
Right.
many years is actually starting to happen. So to your point, the aspect of consequences, you know, I've got to be much more thoughtful about what I load in my backpack with me, or how much ammo I take, or you know, how far I travel. I remember when we were testing, I had a Class B quantum drive in a Scorpius, and I was just trying to go from Hurston to Microtech. I couldn't make it from Hurston to Microtech with a Class B drive in it, right? And so I ended up having to decide, I've got to go to a civilian A or some, if I want to be able to jump from R Corp to, but that costs money to do that. You know what I mean? So you're right. It's these other things now that we've been talking about for years that are finally starting to happen in the game. And to your point, it's going to make us be more thoughtful about what it is we do in the game now. You know,
I truly appreciate it. Like I said, it's probably an unpopular thing that folks probably are dreading. Nah, man, all my money's gone. But it made me feel, because when we went into the hangar and I slightly hit the right side of the ship, those weapons broke off. I looked at the repair. It said 19K. I said, oh my God. I said, oh my, I only got 25K.
That means you got to practice. You better go on a read a commander. You better go on a read a commander more when you've been gone so long. But that I understand.
Because it made me think, Griff. I was like, we were trying to figure out where to sell waste.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I'm looking around paranoid.
Yeah.
Like, okay, when is some idiot gonna come around here and start shooting? Because if that happens, we in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it made me feel the game.
Absolutely.
And to me, that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you, Fizz. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
All right. I'm gonna have to. We're going to talk about the flying thing later on when we get a chance. All right. Hey, listen, great news. As you guys can see, we hit our first milestone, $250. We did it. You guys are awesome. You guys have done it right at the top of the hour, just short of the top of the hour. Thank you guys so much. We're still pushing toward that $1,000 by the end of the show today. We're in our first hour and you guys have already gotten us there. Thank you so much for what you guys have done for helping someone in our community. That is simply fabulous. So we're going to keep going. Is anybody else? No, nobody else is here to talk about 323. I guess everybody's playing 323. That's why nobody's talking about it, but that's fine. If you guys are, I'd rather hear what I've been hearing, which is the fact that people are enjoying 323. Yes, there are still some rough edges out there. Do not think that it is the perfect patch. It is not, but it does have, it's chocked full of a lot of good stuff and a lot of things that I think you guys will start to feel like, okay, I'm starting to get an idea of where they're trying to go with this game. So definitely, if you haven't had a chance to play 323 this weekend, make sure that you guys get in and do that. We're going to take a quick commercial break, then we're going to come back and we're going to take a look at a Machinima, and then we're going to be talking about this next week coming up, which is going to be Invictus launch week. For those of you guys who are looking forward to that, we're going to have some great conversations about that. So give me a second and we will be right back. Let's see. Come on, kick in commercial. Boom. There we go. To our subscribers, as always, thank you guys so much for being here today. Thank you guys for your continued support of the Soul Citizens. And thank you guys for those of you who've been able to give toward Buster this weekend. We really, really appreciate that. And she does too. She was very moved by the gesture, and she said she had to work this afternoon, but she would tune in, which is why she's sitting in chat. But she said that she was going to try to drop in for a little bit. So I'm glad to see that she was here. So thank you guys for sharing the love with that. Our next topic, like I said, is going to be on Invictus launch week. And we're going to be talking about some of the things that we've already seen in the game. So I'm going to get my page ready for this so we can have some conversations about all the cool stuff that CIG is showing us for Invictus. Why is that popping up? There we go. All right, 5 seconds and we're going to kick it in. Alrighty. We are back from our commercial break. We're going to show a quick machinima real quick. You guys know the Soul Citizens enjoy highlighting different folks from our community. And we have a channel actually in our Discord where when I find a variety of different machinimas, there's so many of them that are being produced now, it's hard to even keep track with them, to be honest with you. There's so many good ones out there. And so I decided to pick a couple for this weekend to show. And this is just to kind of give us all a break. If you want to get something to drink, some snacks or something like that, feel free to do that. But we're going to take a quick look at this machinima. And this one is titled, what is it called? I forgot what it's called. I'll show it to you. That's the easiest thing to do, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at this and I'll be right back. Oh, Tears in the Rain.
Seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shore of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near 10,000 Gate. All those moments will be lost in time, like tears in rain. Alrighty. Yeah, that's Tears in the Rain. Kai recognized it right off the bat. Thank you. Oh my God, who gave us the raid? Piss Poor Pete, thank you so much for the raid. I'm sorry we didn't hear the chime go off because we were on the other screen. Thank you so much, Raiders. Welcome. Today, this is Soul Voices. Thank you guys for joining us. Hope you had a great stream, PPP. Hope you had a very good stream, and thank you for sending your beloved ones over to us. This is Soul Voices. It's our one-on-one conversation where we talk about things from Star Citizen community, from Spectrum and Reddit, and all over the place, anything going on in the community. But today is a very special Soul Voices. We are doing a fundraiser for our good friend Buster the Destroyer, a content creator, part of the community here for Star Citizen for many years. Some of you may know, you've seen some posts where she said she has been not receiving any income, even though she's been working for a month at her job. And we are reaching out as a way of gesture of love to say, hey, we want to help you make things a little bit easier. We know bills are there, rent, all that good stuff. And many people have already given. We've already raised $250. We're targeting for $1,000 by the next 3 hours. So that's $250 an hour. Hopefully you guys will be able to consider it. There's a link that I will put in the chat for you that you can check out
that highlights and gives information. There's the link right there if you want to read a little bit about it. But we're doing this today just for Buster because we love her and we really appreciate her as a member of the Star Citizen community. Okay, let's get ready to talk about this next piece here. Invictus 2953. Let me turn this off. Whoops, wrong button. Don't want to go back to that again. Let's see, let me turn that off, and here we go. United in purpose. All right. Invictus launch week, just a week away. Going to be starting on the 17th, May 17th. That's just 6 days away. Jeez, oh Pete. Right around the corner. Yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. Invictus. A lot of interesting things in this video, and would love to hear you guys' thoughts on what you see, what you think you saw in this video. Basically, the promo this week is be a part of the biggest Invictus celebration yet. Join the celebration from May 17th through the 29th. That's 12 days, y'all. As our annual military expo and free fly event returns to Area 18 on R-Corp. Yay, yay, yay. Not that Loreville colossal, I can tell you that. Test fly, the finest naval-inspired ships. Catch first looks at brand new concepts in development. Brand new. That means it's something we haven't seen. And get up close and personal with new ships and vehicles from aerospace legends Argo. Argo's got something coming out. RSI. And Aegis. Plus, you can tour an in-service Aegis Idris and witness the entire fleet spearheaded by the RSI Polaris fly through Stanton. Okay. So, some cool things here to talk about, right? A lot of stuff here in the video, some stuff here in the comments. Definitely some new concepts. That means some new not those holographs that we've been seeing. There's something new that CIG is thinking about dropping. We kind of got a little bit of a hint from CIG the other day. Some of you all saw the post that was done on Twitter. There's something coming from Argo. Maybe we saw that in the video. Something from RSI. Maybe we saw that in the video. Aegis, maybe we saw that in the video. Okay. And then there's stuff that we already know about. We know about the new bike that came out, right? We know there's some other stuff that might be coming out. So I'm going to turn the floor over to you guys. You guys give me your thoughts about stuff that you think might be, well, just give me your feelings about Invictus this year, period. You know, let's talk about it. Let me bring in Pops. Pops, you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am. I'm here waiting. Let me get this phone. Oh my God. Okay, sorry about that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in. You know, Griff. I'm excited. But I'm kind of well. I don't want it to be like the rest of them. I don't want to be excited for day one. I don't want to be just excited for what ship this. I want to be like you've been saying, because you got the brain thinking and the brain hoping that they have something for us to do. I mean, following the fleet around, we've done that, before. I hope they give us some special missions or hunting for something. I just don't want it just to be a day one. It was great, and then it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, and for those of you guys who don't know what Pops is talking about, we each year we've talked about the fact that we would hope that Invictus not only be a part of the lore, but it be an active part of the development, not just a ship sale or a place to rent ships for free flight, but that they would start integrating some things into it that are tied into gameplay. Now, Pops, they were trying to do something with Xenothreat. That was a part of this lead-in with the initiative that we have been doing for the past few weeks. I think that I had talked about the idea of, like when you go into Invictus, they've got recruitment tables. I wanted an AI to be there. I wanted us to sign up for something. I wanted something to break off. I wanted the fleet, while it's moving from Microtech to Hurston, to go under attack, and we get a call to go out and defend the fleet. I want something that, has us interacting as players, not just go to the convention hall, run around, look at ships, and and be gone for the day, right? Go back to what we were doing. I want some type of spontaneous thing that kicks off, and if you happen to be there at the time, you get to experience it. Otherwise, I log in at night and say, "Hey, what's going on, Pops?" You said, "Man, you missed it. We had to go out and defend defend the Polaris." I want some type of engagement at that level to happen with Invictus. And that's for those who want to sign up for the UEE, right? Because you got the other people who want to be on the bad side, right? And maybe they get to sign up and say, "No, we're going to attack the fleet." You know what I mean? I would just love to see something like that happen. So I agree.
I just want more than just log in every day and you get a badge or a jacket. Something. I understand though that was as much as they could do back then. But I'm like you. I want them to push it forward,
expand it further.
Yep. Okay. And make it into a big event, something that the community really looks forward to.
We need it to be a dynamic event, right? That's what we need. We need Invictus to be a dynamic event. Okay.
Exactly.
All right, Pops. All right. Thank you, brother. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Let's bring in the one and the only Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral, you there?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everybody.
Hey.
Yeah, Invictus. There's a lot of stuff here. There's actually a few ships that we see in this. Of course, we see the Polaris. It's like prominent.
Okay.
And they do show the Argo. The MPUV, which looks like a tractor beam on the front. I was thinking about that. It would be interesting if that was came out as a module where you could turn any MPUV into to have a tractor beam, and then for them to sell it for $10, $10 for any MPUV. So people would be buying 4 of them or whatever. Because I have 2 MPUVs myself, so I'd probably need 2. So why not? And that'd be $20-$40 right there.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question because you're doing a breakdown, so I want to kind of do the breakdown with you. So when they show the MPUV here, like you said, you can see it's got some type of attachment on the front head of it. We also saw that when they did the silhouettes from CitizenCon of the 10 ships that were lined up, and we saw that same silhouette. Both in that silhouette from CitizenCon and here, they show an MPUV that does not have a module attached to it, right?
Yeah.
So do you think that they'll introduce modularity? I know they've talked about it with the Retaliator. Do you think that they'll maybe do it with the MPUV series as well now?
I know that the MPUV, the back ends can detach. And the reason we know that is because the MPUV personnel carrier that has all the jump seats in it is identical to the 890 version.
Right.
It's just the 890 version, the escape pods are just white.
Exactly.
So an MPUV is going to have to show up empty to be able to pick that up. And so I'm a little confused why the guy's got a box in front of this thing, because you would think, well, he didn't put it in the main cab because there's no room in the main cab. So I'm a little confused in that. But maybe there's some type of cargo platform that he's putting stuff on top of, that you would have a grate around it. Or I don't know. I'd like to see what they do.
Yeah.
Because in that 3D thing you referenced, there wasn't anything there.
Yeah.
But it's just weird that he's dealing with a box and he's also dealing with this ship. How does this one scene connect? I really don't understand how it connects. Yes, you showed me the ship, and I know it's supposed to be a tractor, but I don't know. You think maybe I could pick up a Connex box, a big box with the tractor beam, move it over to a better location where I can then put the MPUV on top of and attach it and then move it away. I'm just confused how that works with a small
I'll tell you what I think about for the track. Let's assume it's a tractor beam, because I don't know what that attachment is. I just know there's something on the head of the vehicle. I keep seeing the MPUV because of what we saw in other videos where the MPUV was the ship that was loading ships like the Hull C. And so I saw the tractor beam as being something that once you bring a cargo pod out with an MPUV and bring it out to space, that now the attachment process might be where you could use whatever that attachment is up there as a tractor beam to attach whether it's to attach something or pull it off or whatever the case may be. I didn't see it as necessarily something that would be used on a small scale. And I know people keep thinking that because they see it on the planet. Maybe it is used on a small scale, but I'm still stuck on what I saw NPUVs literally with a cargo box attached to them, bringing them up to a coal seat and pulling away. And I'm wondering whether or not, that's why I was asking about the modularity piece with cargo coming in. Do you think that not just in the sense of cargo pods and personnel pods, but, you know, now you've got these things that are working similar to the raft, right? The raft carries 3. This thing carries 1 or 2 SCU, whatever those, 4
I think that's
or 8 SCU
interconnected.
boxes. Yeah,
because you're talking about, say, in a 0G environment where you're able to pick something off.
Right.
And then I'm talking about, like, well, I want to stack these on something that has, like, 1G gravity.
Yeah.
So I have to move them around, and, you know, you could drop them here, and then another one moves them around. So that way they have more flexibility in what it does.
I got you. Yeah.
And then also, what's the bigger one? The MPUV and was it the SRV? That's supposed to be for, like, the really big. The
SRV and the raft. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then, of course, we have the ambulance. All of this stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's
now, here's something interesting too about the ambulance. And by the way, let me make a quick stop here because Admiral and I are going to have a good conversation on this with the Invictus. Those of you who came in later, just so you'll know, we are at $250. We're shooting for our next goal of $500 within the next hour. So if you guys have the heart and desire, take a look at the link that we put in the chat earlier. I'll put it in again for you. And if you feel inclined to do so, we want to be able to support Buster at a time when she is in need of some help. Those of you who are interested in doing that, just go to that link, go to the page, check it out. Is it 300 now? It went up. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you.
It's a little higher right
Thank you, prisoner. I didn't do the refresh on it. I'm trying to do it every few minutes and I missed it. It is. Oh, whoa, 400. Oh my God. You guys. Oh, that is awesome. Wow. Thank you guys so much for that. We are at $400. Thank you, prisoner, for telling me that. Thank you. That is awesome. We are getting there. Thank you. You guys are great. So Admiral, let me, okay. Okay. They mentioned Argo, RSI, and Aegis. They didn't say anything about Anvil. And people have assumed that the well, okay, I want to get to Anvil. We'll talk about that very, very last. If we're talking about RSI, we're talking about the Ursa, right? And we're talking about the long-awaited vehicle or 4-wheel ambulance that people have been asking for a long time. Is that what we're talking about for the Ursa?
Yeah.
Okay. You feeling pretty confident about that, especially since it's RSI?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of right in there.
Yeah,
forefront there.
CaptainSeriousFun, remember a few weeks ago, showed us the RSI beacon, medical beacon that he found, and I've wondered about that beacon, its full use, right? Let me throw this out as a question. I'm not saying this is the case, y'all. I'm just me and Admiral having one of our fun conversations because he's a fun person to talk to about stuff like this. CIG had started working on the Apollo. A few months back, they even showed us the gray box for it. Or the white box, gray box, whatever it was. Is there any possibility that the Apollo could show up this year? Since there seems to be working on this Ursa, they've already put this medical beacon in the game. Could that be the direction that they're moving with medical? I was in the hospital the other day, Admiral, and someone else posted this the other day too. I was at R-Corp's Empire, and there was a surgeon in my room with a medical this is somebody I never seen before. He had on some of you all may have seen this. He's got on like a bluish, purplish, all plastic gown with a mask that goes completely over his head and it's just his eyes. And I was like, whoa, where'd that guy come from? Never seen him before. Do you think that there may be a push toward medical becoming because, you know, Chris wants this whole commercially viable 1.0 thing. Do you think that maybe they are pushing toward medical a little bit more now?
Yeah, I definitely think there could be some more medical stuff coming up. I mean, again, the Terrapin's supposed to be a rescue ship. I'm expecting a variant of that.
That'd be a surprise.
We're definitely getting this one. Whether or not it's a push to the Apollo coming out, I'm not sure. I'd rather actually see the Galaxy come out because it has a medical module on it.
Mm-hmm.
And to see that one because it's just more, can do more anyways. And more people can actually use it as a cargo vessel or whatever.
Okay.
And then use it for medical if they want. But in terms of having the Apollo come out, I'm a little bit more, like Pop said, it's kind of like and what other people said, they don't want to be like have their hopes kind of like just blown away, so they're kind of like just holding back a bit.
I'm only saying it because they were working on it. I'm only saying it because they were working on it. If they weren't working on it, they hadn't shown us something, it wouldn't even be on my lips. But they were working on it. They showed us the interior of the Apollo. And they haven't said nothing since they did that. And they didn't say they stopped working on it. I'm just kind of curious, is this a hint toward between the Ursa, between the medical beacon, that maybe they are starting to develop that career out more?
Well, you know what I would like to see then is if you go to the conference center, convention center, excuse me, and they have a medical area, and then these two vehicles, you have the new vehicle there, you got the 8 and the Cutlass, and the Apollo. I mean, that just kind of they're fleshing out this huge career field.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely something that's coming. I think it surprised everybody that the Galaxy would have a module like that.
Okay.
And then that a C8 could actually land in the back as like, almost like a mini, what's that giant hospital ship? What's that giant hospital ship?
Oh, the Endeavor?
The Endeavor. Yeah, it's like a mini Endeavor.
Yeah.
So if you think about it that way.
Okay.
And then it actually gets you around. So it'll be interesting. I'd like to know how this works. See, this is one thing. So this is a vehicle that drives around, right? The one we're talking about right now, the wheeled vehicle, and then it's probably a tier 3 and then where are you going from there? Like, you have to get to a ship.
That's a good. Let me tell you why it's a good question, because you've been out with us before, and I mean, you weren't doing 323, but you've been out with us before. One of the things that often happens when we go out and do stuff, especially now with the distribution centers, is when we were on platforms, you always had like the physical fitness place, right, where you could go get on a bed, right? But when we've gone out in the field, a lot of times the only reason why we brought a Pisces R was because it was, if you didn't have a Carrack or something, you brought it. So do you think that this now will replace people who would normally bring a Pisces R? Like right now, we go to distribution center, we'll fly a Pisces R in, but we've got to drive. If you've got to fly in, you might get shot down, right? So now you can drive in and bring the medical stuff if you need to, versus before you couldn't do that if it was a hostile, location, right? In the distribution centers, for those of you all who haven't been there, that you cannot. There's no destroying the turrets, at least as of yet. The turrets will destroy you for the most part. So let me ask you this, Admiral. 4 manufacturers on the first 2 days. RSI, we covered them with the Ursa. Argo, we covered them with the MPUV we saw with the new attachment. But then there's Origin and Consolidated Outland. CIG was working on the G12. Is it a possibility?
Well, I think there's a rumor around right now that the G12 could come out. I would be a little surprised. I mean, I guess it is it is like more like a defense platform.
Okay.
The G12, I think, if I remember correctly. I know mine. I think I have one. I know it has this, like a turret up top, but I don't know if it actually makes it makes it like a safer.
Yeah,
ship.
well,
I look at Origin as just
in the promo. They show that military version is like as if it's rolling into some urban environment. There's a bunch of them, and they all got the cannons on them. So in the original concept art for it. Now the other one, the white one, was in somebody's luxury house or whatever, and then the racer was out in the field racing. So with this being Invictus, and again, this is they were working on G12. It was on the charts. I'm not saying no or yes. I'm just wondering, because we know that they've worked on these particular ships. They've worked on the Apollo, and they've been working on the G12. And I know there's a rumor going around. No evidence of this, y'all. But, making a vehicle ain't that bad, ain't that tough for CIG. I don't know. It's just, it's on day one. And day one is usually when they make sure they put out stuff that's being sold, brand new. And in the last day, right? So that's why I'm asking your thoughts on it, about the G12.
Mercedes makes cars. Mercedes makes, vans for contractors.
Mm-hmm.
Could they make high-end, military vehicles at the same time and get into a different industry? Yes,
True.
They could. Apple, we've seen that, this data and everything else that we have that the UEE uses is, they have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Can they spend a lot of money on, say, Origin military ships or vehicles, or they're special forces or something like that, where they have to go in and say, hey, we need a very survivable thing that has crazy shields, low observable thing, and we'll pay whatever the cost is for a company to make a small amount of that. And I think Origin would be like a perfect company for that.
Okay.
They wouldn't have the background like Anvil, but Anvil and Aegis is like all just armor and weapons and stuff like that. And they know what they're doing in those regards. That's the strong point.
Okay.
So, but I could see maybe something like that where a company, they would look at maybe another company to kind of like say, hey, is there something else you can provide that we're not looking at? That's always something that even now the Department of Defense is looking for, like, hey, outside, ideas and stuff like that.
Okay.
So maybe that's an option.
Possibility.
But I kind of normally feel that Origin wouldn't be here. Besides that, that's because I'm just like throwing it out there. Oh, I don't know if you saw the rage goal here.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to this next one then. Consolidated Outland. We haven't heard anything from them in a while. CIG hasn't talked about anything, and maybe with the new concepts, maybe there's something coming from Consolidated, which would be interesting, because we have not had anything from them in quite a while. So I would be eager to see that. I want to move to the next day, Admiral.
Let's consolidate Outland. Like, hey, let's talk about what Cole said. Let's talk about what they need.
Well, no. Talk about what they need. That could be. We could talk about every manufacturer what they need. I don't know what their need is. They
need the beginning structures of, like, I think the Galaxy is like going to make some. One of these ships is going to make furniture and all this other stuff for like bases and stuff like that. But like the Orion, RSI is making a smaller mining ship and using those schematics to make the Orion, because they need the building blocks. Same with the Polaris and the Perseus, using the same like struts and all that other crap. So what they need is a smaller, base building ship, I think. That maybe might get like a medium ship that would do that. And so that's what I would love to see.
You would love to see Consolidated make something like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Could be. Let's move into the next day then. Misk, Crusader, Tumbril, and Mirai. We already know Mirai is producing the bikes, right? Crusader, I don't think we've heard anything from them about anything new. But Misk, there was an interesting picture posted yesterday on the sneak peek. And everybody's trying to figure out what this ship is. And a lot of people are leaning toward a Misk something. They didn't know if it was the Misk Expanse or the Odyssey or something based upon the design language in the picture. Now, some people said also RSI. I don't think it was RSI. Did you see the picture? And if so, are you leaning toward any manufacturer in particular?
First, I was confused what you were talking about, but then I remembered it because I posted the picture, and I'm like, wait, I posted the picture. But I didn't put the two together, but there was a couple people, Captain Serious, and I think somebody else, maybe Stunner. They were talking about across from the vastness of space, and they were like, "Oh, vastness of space," and I'm like, "What do you mean?" And they're like, "The expanse. An expanse is a vastness of space." I was like, "Holy crap! That actually makes a lot of sense." So potentially, we might see the expanse come in.
I didn't know that was the phrase that went with it.
This would be a huge, like, we already know a couple things that are coming in. If they throw all this other stuff at us, like, this is going to be an absolutely mammoth an event. But how this one particular ship actually relates to Invictus, I don't see it. Maybe it'll come like this summer, but I just don't see how that's...
Well, Invictus has put out things that aren't military necessarily. They have done that before. Not a lot, but they've done it. And maybe it's just a matter of what needs to come out in this in relation to their other work with 3.23 with cargo and stuff, right? Because obviously if people are mining and they're mining resources, to be able to bring in a refining process that now I can take those refined materials or store raw materials, and I have the ability to, because right now it's limited, right? All you can do is take it to a station. You can't shoot, you can't take, if you don't want to mine this, you can't take this, you can't save this. You either have to refine it and sell it. That's all you can do. I can't put it in, I can't take my containers off and put them anywhere. But if now I can do that, right? I can also integrate more gameplay. I can involve, you with your prospector, me with my refining ship, so and so with their cargo that's hauling it. So there's a different dynamic that could expand if CIG is going to continue with this hangar cargo piece, which is why I think it would make sense if they did something like that. I think the Odyssey would be a bit too ambitious because exploration has not been fleshed out yet. And I think they fleshed it out with a smaller ship that they already have first before they move into that one. But we'll see. Let me take a quick break here. You guys have pushed us over the mark, $520 within our second hour, and money is still coming in, and we still had 20 minutes to go. And you guys don't feel like you have to stop. We can get to our $1,000 mark even sooner. But thank you guys so much. You guys are just pushing the needle.
It sounds like you have to extend the program another 2 hours.
No. They're going to make it. I'm not even worried about it. I know that by the time this is over, we're going to be at our mark. So thank you guys so much for contributing toward Buster. You guys are awesome. Let's see. So have you seen the Mirai bike yet? I haven't seen it. Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it in person. I did buy the racing variant.
You bought the racing one.
Yeah.
Okay. I picked up the other one, the base one. I didn't think I was going to get it, and you know how they got me, Admiral? The price. I was interested because of the size, and I said, "Oh, this will be a great bike. It's small. If somebody's got a small space, I can get it in there, or even for myself." I said, "It's going to probably be like $35. So I'll wait." And then I saw it was $25. I'm like, they got me again. So I ended up buying one.
Well, I have like the X1 Force, so I do have a version with a gun on it. And it's protected. It's got shields. The benefit of this new bike is that it's really, really compact.
Yes.
And I just wanted the faster variant because I can get around. I can escape quicker. I can get around quicker. Yeah. So I might get a little cold or a little hot depending on what location it is.
Temperature, right?
Put an ice pack in my suit maybe if it's too warm.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about these other two real quick. And I don't know that there's anything on the list or anything you're thinking about on these. Tumbril last year was the one that came out with the Storm series, and so we did get something new from them. But Crusader, we haven't gotten anything new from them in a while. I'm not saying that we would, because they've got a pretty decent fleet of ships out there. We get the A1 and the C1 and the A1 who came out, I think was the last in their series that came out. And people are really happy with those ships a lot. Particularly the C1 has become one of the more popular of the moderate sized cargo vessels. People love the loadout in it because it comes with a very decent loadout as stock components. But I don't see anything from those two. Do you see anything from Tumbril or Crusader? I know there's stuff that they could make, but people are looking for the rework on the Star Runner, the Mercury. But I can't think of anything else.
Well, maybe they'll have a variant of the Star Runner for a medical, and then they'll be able to drive the medical truck into that.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
That's because again, for people watching who don't know, that the Mercury Star Runner back in the day had Star Runner pulled off the name. Now it's the Mercury, and the Star Runner is a chassis similar to the Atlas chassis for the Ballista, and the other ground vehicle variants of it. I'm actually looking at it right now, but trying to find the other. But like the Ballista and the Spartan.
Oh, okay.
It's the same platform. Yeah. They call it the Atlas platform.
Yeah.
That vehicle, I actually still am expecting. We think we've seen it as a base building, some type of base building variant. And then also, it would be nice to have an ammo carrier.
Yeah.
For like the ballista missiles and other things.
Yeah, agreed. I'm really curious to see how we're going to do the reloading process for those vehicles because it's important, obviously. And CIG has shown plenty of images with missiles and things on pallets, ready to be moved, whatever. But we just don't see where the mechanic will be for being able to do that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well.
Stunner, I'm about to stream beat you. I've verified this before. I sort of got it with you.
He's gonna get you going again.
And post it right goddamn now.
Let me go to Aegis. This is one I'm a little stumped on. Aegis. What is Aegis putting out other than the Retaliator? That would be we know that they said they're going to go gold standard with it, and we know that they're working on the modularity for it. And I think they said they were only going to put out the cargo pods and the torpedo pods for the first iteration of modularity. Do you think it's going to be restricted just to that? Just and here's my other question. Will the Retaliator become a more popular ship with modularity stepping into it? Or do you think that people will question, why would I use a Retaliator for cargo? Or, what are your thoughts about that?
A Retaliator over what?
Do you think that the Retaliator will become popular now with modularity, or will people see it just strictly as a bomber? Cargo makes no sense to them. Living quarters makes no sense to them.
I mean, originally I had it because I wanted the living quarters in the back. I think it was the what was it, like the entertainment area? You had like a table that popped up. You had a TV and
there's a whole living
place to make some drinks and stuff like that.
Yep, there's a living.
It just seemed like a nice place to hang out.
Okay.
But like I was going to keep the torpedo bay in the front. That way you could be out there and have an okay time. You can get away from the turrets and stuff like that. But with the updated ship, I think people are going to look at it again and be like, "Ooh, this is better." Hopefully they'll change like the turret work up a little bit because they're a little bit weird. People like still turn around upside down on those things. It puts me off doing that.
The reason why I asked about do you think it'll be popular is because the Galaxy was very popular with its modularity, right? A lot of people, the modularity is what grabbed them about it. When they saw here's a ship that can do multiple roles and all I have to do is swap out modules. The Retaliator has not been that in the game so far, but now it is becoming, having some other type of thing. It's got a drop ship to it, the living quarters, as you mentioned, the cargo area, and the torpedo bay areas. And that's why I'm wondering.
Let's just say you want to use it as a cargo ship. Like, that's probably one of the most protected cargo ships you'll ever see.
True. Very true.
For the amount of cargo you can put in that is probably the safest cargo ship you can put it in.
Yeah.
So I think just for that alone is like a really good buy for someone who wants to do cargo in a Retaliator.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How many guns is that? And they upgraded the guns to what, size 3s, I think?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But don't forget, guys, you guys can come in and give us your thoughts because we're about to wrap up this on Invictus. So if you've got any thoughts, please feel free to jump in with me and Admiral Kusanagi. Admiral, the next day after that, this is where it gets a little bit more challenging. Anvil Aerospace, March 23rd and 24th. Anvil.
Well, again, of course, we're getting the Anvil capital ship. And I said capital ship. It's going to be huge.
You went there.
It's going to be huge, folks. It's going to be amazing.
You went there. Now, not to be funny, to Admiral's point, usually the last day is usually a decent sale. We're not talking about putting out some Anvil, vehicle. Usually the beginning starts out with something small, like we mentioned about RSI and Argo. But what happens on that final day? And mind you, DefenseCon is afterward. We get that. I get that. That's Drake. And I'm not saying that nothing will happen on that day. But usually during Invictus, the part that's more tied to the UEE, there is a sale on that last day. And the question is, what will Anvil put out? Let me give you this as a possibility, Admiral. The Liberator. With Pyro being somewhat in the near future, and people already dealing with reduced fuel, reduced component distance, and starting to think about what is it going to mean to cross these systems. Is this something that maybe they may surprise us with? Now, mind you, Anvil's not on the list, y'all. They said Argo, RSI, and Aegis. They do not mention Anvil. I'm just saying that normally, toward the end of the convention, they do sell something. There's also the what's the thing called? The one that moves the troops that you board ships with? The Legionnaire.
The Legionnaire, yeah.
Which they are working on. In fact, they were working on it. They'd gotten pretty far with it, and they said that they were building out a new section in the ship to be able to protect people when they're doing a boarding. Is that something that's going to be on the horizon? I
would definitely see that as a 3D on like one of those 3D
hologram. I mean, it's been on the hologram before, so you don't think that we'll see them drop something like that? So I'll go back. Let's go back to the one you mentioned. Community's been asking for an Anvil capital ship for a long time. The Liberator is the biggest ship. The Liberator is the biggest ship that Anvil has, and they have the main contract with the UEE. And people are like, that makes no sense.
Let me rephrase that then, because we saw the Legionnaire in CitizenCon in the 3D like yellow background thing. They said they're going to give it to us by the end of the year. So more than likely, then I'm going to say it's going to be ready for Invictus because it's a military ship.
Okay. Possibilities it'll be ready.
I'll stick with that because that would make sense.
Okay.
And we know they've been working on it, and they have updates. So we had to update the hatch to it or something like that. I would say, I don't know what the gameplay would be right now, but people could still load in it like they can in like a whatever the hell the other troop ships that we have in the game right now.
Well, Bananas Gaming, thank you for saying that. Banana says they might be the one to drop the new concept ship idea. That could be something that would sell if it's to your point, Bananas. What if the concept was an Anvil capital ship? It would probably freaking fly out the window, right? I mean, we wouldn't see the ship there, but if that happens to be a concept because the community has been asking for it, and it would fit with the lore.
And what do I mean by Anvil capital ship? I mean a ship that is around or not bigger than the Idris.
Idris, yeah. We're talking flagship, big ships.
So, big ships.
I
don't look at people will complain and like to fight me on this, but like a Perseus, a Polaris, they're not that doesn't really show isn't a capital ship for me. It has to be like a very, very big military ship and not an industrial ship. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, people were asking for some type of Anvil. Like one of the things that they asked for was like a carrier, right? Like the Anvil version of the Kraken, right? Something that was large scale. There was at one point there was this pocket carrier kind of conversation and whatnot, but they do want something that is from a military standpoint because Anvil provides, all of the Anvil series of fighters, all the F7 series, the F8s, all that stuff, the Gladiator, and they have to go put them on a Drake ship to get them around, right? They're saying that Anvil should have its own mobile base, a large scale base, and I don't know, but I agree. I would love to see Anvil produce something like that. So that we could kind of get away from Aegis and RSI so much because they right now are the ones that dominate with the type of ships that Admiral's talking about in the game.
Well, they do have maybe something similar to like the Kraken would be very interesting to have from Anvil then. To have like a light carrier in that regards.
Yeah.
Because they are things. If you look at, say, we have the Nimitz class carriers. We also have expeditionary carriers that usually you see helicopters on, and now they're being used for F-35 Bravos. So those are a thing, and they're used by like a lot of countries actually use light carriers and don't really have the big stuff that America and now China really has. So. I look at the Bengal and its other wacky ship. I forget the name of it. Is like really heavy carriers, or I guess tier 1 capital ships. But like we don't have like a competitor for the Kraken. The Kraken can only hold
exactly
maybe 10 ships, something like that.
Yep.
And that would be if Anvil wanted to come in for swinging, that would be like answer the Drake's. Drake put up.
And again, there are no competitors to any of them. I mean, there's no true competitor to the Idris, right? There's no competitor to the Kraken. So the door is wide open for Anvil to go in any of those spaces and create something in the game. And I think that if they did come up with some form of a concept, that's true, Shady. The Pegasus, but the Pegasus is bigger than the Javelin, and we ain't getting nothing that big in the game, at least for right now, right? But you're
Pegasus
right.
Is huge.
The Pegasus is gigantic.
It's very long. It's narrow, but it's very long.
It's gigantic. It's gigantic.
It's up there with the
even though it would be cool. I agree, it would be cool. I can't wait to see it in the game, but I don't think it's going to be a player ship.
And like the Liberator, Liberator is like it's more like those old inflatable marine vehicles that drops off tanks on beaches and stuff like that. So it's more like a logistical military transport. I don't really see that as a light carrier. So we need something bigger.
All right. Well, Admiral, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. And we're going to bring Togi in and we're going to get on to our next subject. Thank you very much, my friend. Always good talking to you.
Appreciate your time. And I just want to invite other people watching, just jump on in and talk with Griff. It's a good time talking with them.
Thank you, brother. Alrighty. Good old Admiral. Let's bring in Togi. By the way, we are still at the 520 mark, y'all. We could push it a little bit further. We're going to get a little bit further closer to our goal of $1,000 by the end of the day. Thank you guys so much for giving what you have so far. Sir Togi, what you got?
So I think you did forget one thing about Aegis.
Okay.
And that's that they teased a Saber Raven.
Ooh, thank you for reminding. Oh my God. I mentioned it at the beginning that they dropped it on Twitter and I forgot all about it. Thank you. Yeah, talk about that a little bit, Togi. What did people see when they saw that picture?
So it looks like what we are getting, and again, this is speculation. Mm-hmm. They showed the silhouette of a blacked out Raven. Mm-hmm. And so it looks like they are removing the exclusivity from the Saber Raven being an Intel promo, and are going to be probably selling it outright. Like they have done with the F8 and the F7 Mark II and the F7A.
Let me give you my spin on it. I'm not against it. I'm just wondering whether it's going to be a Saber Raven model, but not the EMP version that we have, but maybe one that does a capture. Because the reason why it threw me off was that I think it was Galactica. I think it was Galactica posted, and they said something about spicy. And I was trying to figure out what did that mean in relation to that ship, spicy. And like you said, it's a blacked out version. So
if in my opinion, spicy is that the Saber Raven is right now like one of the meta ships.
Okay.
With the slower speeds, EMPs are super strong.
Oh.
And so putting that in for everyone to buy would be quite spicy.
Okay. I'm not saying it won't, because I could see it going that way. I'm just kind of wondering if they're going to flip the script a little bit and it will be a variant of a variant, kind of like the whole Avenger. You know what I mean? Just some other version of the same ship that allows people to get it.
I think that it'll have a different name.
Okay.
From the tweet, it looks like it's going to be like Firebird or Phoenix.
Yeah, something weird. And that's why I'm wondering, what is that if it is? Is it significant to the functionality of the ship, or is it just a cool name? I'm not sure.
I think it's just a function. It's probably something to do with their contract with Intel.
Yeah.
That maybe they can't call it the Raven, and so they've got to call it something else.
The ship has a unique design to it, and I'm just trying to think about what else it could be as a fighter. Missile boat? I don't know. Maybe like you said, maybe it's just going to be what it is right now, paint it differently, and got a different name. It may be just something as simple as that. But
yeah, I think it's going to be very similar to the F7C, the F8C,
F8C.
where they're just gonna slap a skin on it and be like, "Hey, here you go." So that you don't have to, pony up the $10,000 to get through the paywall for this ship. Now it's got a $300 paywall.
Going to break a lot of hearts on the gray market, like you said.
Oh yeah, no, I literally already saw people trying to offload them, like the Saber Raven codes for like $1,400.
Oh god!
And I'm just like, yep, you better find someone now, because you've got about a week and a half.
Well, the funny thing about it is that if it does end up being something different, then they're going to be really hurt later on, the ones who got rid of them, because it's going to be like, oh shoot, I should have kept the thing, it didn't change. So it's because listen, I can see CIG very seriously doing that and hurting that market. And initially people said they try to get rid of them, and then they find out, oh shoot, I should have kept it. It wasn't what we thought it was.
I mean, I think there's always going to be the collectors that want it.
That's true.
All right. I mean, I had a Valkyrie Liberator, which is literally just a really ugly skin on a Valkyrie, and I got someone to trade me a Pioneer for it.
Ooh, good googly moogly. Okay. Yeah,
I mean, straight trade on a Pioneer.
Can't beat that trade. They wanted it.
And there's gonna be people that want it, but I don't think there's gonna be people willing to pay $1,400 for it anymore.
Well, I can't talk about anybody because you remember I was on a 3-year quest for that stinking piano for the Phoenix, and I bought one. And I won't even say how much I paid for it, but it was way more than I should have paid for it because I really wanted that piano.
I know how it is.
I really wanted that piano.
I bought my fair share of really dumb stuff. Why do I have 14 tanks? I'm still asking myself that. I have no idea. Outside of the fact that I really like telling people I have 14 tanks.
I think you got the record for that.
Okay. I would certainly hope so. If there's somebody else out there with more, like, let's go to therapy together. All right.
I know. Well, listen, before you go, I had one more day to cover, and I was going to cover it with Admiral, but since you came in, I figure I'll ask you about it. And that's DefenseCon, very last day. Drake. Drake's been kind of knocking it out of the park with the what's the thing called? The one ship I don't like in the game. Yeah, the cutter.
Yeah, I'm the perfect person to talk to about the cutter.
I forgot. Wait a minute, I forgot who I was talking to. They did expand it with the scanning version of it. That's kind of like an exploration thing or whatever. And then there's another version.
You've got
right?
the original trash can, the trash can with a flashlight, and then there's a trash can with a chair in it.
Okay, well, the Prowler not the Prowler, oh my God, the Cutter is surprisingly, to me, not to you guys, surprisingly a popular ship with a lot of people for starters. Now, I will say this. It is cool that it has cargo space. It is cool that it has a bed. It is cool that it has a bathroom, right?
And objectively, for the person that doesn't want to do combat, it's a neat little starter.
Yeah,
I will give it that. It's neat,
and that's about as far as me and Togi go, though. After that,
all right, that's the ground I'm willing to give today. You'll get no more.
I agree. And to my point is that last year was the year of the Cutter. They really were pushing it out and stuff. So, is there anything else that you could see at Defense? I mean, are we just going to see the same old stuff this year? Is that how we're going to wrap up Invictus?
Totally.
Is there's nothing new? Drake's got nothing. I think
that if they had something, they would be signaling that.
Okay.
So that people could, prepare their wallets.
Okay.
I think that's why we've kind of gotten all of the stuff that we had. That's the reason why they put out trailers like this, and they sneak that little stuff in there. It's the reason why they tweeted that Saber Raven thing, is so that if people were waiting for it and they were like, I'm gonna buy something a lot more responsible than a JPEG
right
this week, they're like, maybe that new lawnmower can wait till next week, and the HOA won't find me.
Yeah, maybe so. I hate to say, I had told myself that I wasn't doing any spending at Invictus this year. I was waiting for Alien Week because there's something I want to get from Alien Week. And that stinking bike came out. Now, the only way CIG usually gets me is when they come up with something that I just totally didn't expect. If I see it ahead of time and I see it's coming, it doesn't usually get me. But when they drop something, like when they did the freaking Valkyrie, right? We had no idea the Valkyrie was coming. I was like, oh my God, So if there's something, even though I think the Legionnaire is a great idea, I'm not going to get it. The Saber Raven thing, whatever the heck that is, I've got a Raven. So unless this thing is just something distinctly different, I ain't got to worry about that. The Argos, those are something I'd get in game. I think they're very cool and they're going to have their place, but there's no reason for me to go there. Do I want to get the Medical Ursa? There's a part of me that says yes because I don't want to always. Yeah, I don't want to always take out the Pisces, and this is a perfect alternative to that. So that might be something that might, and it depends on the price. That might lure me, but unless they knock me dead with something, I'm happy for anybody else who benefits from it. But I'm pretty satisfied with where things are right now. But we'll see what happens.
There's nothing right now that I super want. And I also have a Raven. I got mine on the gray market for $35.
Oh, wow. Can't beat that.
Can't beat that.
All right, Togi. Thank you, brother.